And I know the veterans are gonna be up there as well, because they're gonna be folding flags and, ceremony up there. So, take it for what it's worth.
Our idea was our event would probably be right here in front of
9:10
our,
would be a better one,
right in front of the flagpoles.
yeah.
I got a question for Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Cates, Mr. Ellis?
Where do we stand on the vehicle maintenance log that I asked for last month?
With the length of the agenda, I failed to put it on here. That's on me. They did email to me. I can share with you what I got. I'm not satisfied with what I got. I don't think it was complete, but I did get something from their records, yes.
So will it be completed?
That's my intent.
Okay. I was just curious, because I hadn't saw anything on it. I didn't get email or nothing.
Okay, that it? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. All right, moving on now to the town manager's report. I believe you have a written report is all tonight.
I prepared a written report for you. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but,
Okay. Any questions for Mr. J? On related to his written report? Hearing none, I'll move on. Consent agenda. Motion to accept the consent agenda when you're ready.
Are you allowed to discuss anything on the consent agenda? So, but you can't discuss it and then vote?
No.
I want to pull resolution 2172 off, acknowledging and approving solicited bids wastewater treatment plant phase 1 renovation, and place it on, old business maybe? Is that sufficient?
our new business, either one.
Or
yes.
new business, either one?
Till 2072.
Yes.
Okay, we have,
I think any alderman can take any of them off.
okay, we will move, take it off and move the new business in. Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to approve. Do I have a
On Highway 64 West at the Bell Grove Road intersection on the south side of the road. The front of the parcel is commercial, the back is residential.
Is this the second read?
Yes, sir.
$20.9 and 91.25, yeah. 20, almost 21 acres of commercial, and then 91 and a quarter residential.
It's R1 residential.
So that's like, what, 2.67, something like that.
Something like
houses
that.
per. Make a motion to approve ordinance 2113.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to approve. Have a second.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
Now moving on. Have a motion to hear public hearing on ordinance 2117, ordinance to amend this text of the municipal zoning ordinance of the town of Oakland regarding planned development, commercial, planned industrial, planned development, commercial, industrial, or planned development mixed in Article 5 as well as Article 7 industrial districts.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Sutton. Have a second. Second from Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to comment? Okay. Having no comments, I will take a motion.
We close the public.
Motion to close, yes. Have a motion from Mr. Duncan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to hear ordinance 2117.
Motion to hear 2117, Mr. Sutton, have a second. Have a second for Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. J.
This also is a recommendation from the Planning Commission. This started out as a simple discussion between the city planner and I, that we have planned development residential and we have planned development commercial, but we did not have on our books planned development industrial. And if you look at a lot of the business parks and all, they're planned developments. So it took the Planning Commission several meetings to put this together, but this creates a new category of zone.
2117 by Vice Mayor Sutton, do I have a second? Second, Mr. Cates, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
And I think all you've gotta do is just open a public hearing and close it yourself, Mayor.
okay, thank you.
can just open it up.
All right, public hearing, I need to open, motion to hear,
No, just open it.
open ordinance 2118, ordinance to amend the city code of ordinance titles 3, chapter 2, court administration, providing an effective date.
Anybody wants to speak?
Anybody want to speak on that one?
Nobody move.
Nobody wants to speak?
Close it.
I'll move to close.
I'll make a motion to hear ordinance 2118.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton
Second.
to approve. Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to new business.
Mr. J. You got,
You want to talk about
you have it?
This ordinance creates a new fee within the court system to where the judge or the prosecutor could levy a court clerk's fee to cover some of the cost when a case does not go all the way through the procedure. While it says up to $100, in most instances, the fee would probably be $20.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2118.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second. Mr. Cates, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on, new business. Have a first reading. I need to have a vote on this.
2115.
Have a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2115 to provide zoning for an area being annexed adjacent to the current corporate limits, parcel 035.05 on Fayette County tax map 086, zoning the parcel R1, low density residential, establishing the public hearing date of September 16, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion for Mr. Hahn, have a second for Mr. Duncan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was a motion to hear, though, is that
Yeah,
correct?
right. Motion to hear.
This is the first reading.
All right, this is the first reading. Mr. J?
You have later on your agenda, consideration of annexing this I believe it's 15.8 acres. It is immediately west of our new park property, and the map's included. It's a narrow vertical piece of property that is being requested to be annexed. It's R1 residential is the appropriate zoning.
This is Mr. Walton's property that spoke to us.
Want to build a home there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2115.
Have a motion to approve 2115, Vice Mayor Sutton. Have a second. Second, Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, under new business resolutions. Have a motion to have a public hearing, open public hearing on resolution 2183, authorizing the issuance of a 5-year term capital outlay note, the principal amount of $800,000 through the TML bond fund for street paving and street construction.
Just open it up.
Now, I'll open it up to public hearing. Any comments? Mr. J, you want to comment on this one? I need to close it, I'm sorry. I apologize, I'm not as good at this as Mr. Sutton is, so he keeps me straight. Have a motion to close. I close it. Now then, Mr. J.
You have in your agenda.
I make a motion to hear resolutions 2183.
I
Second.
I second.
All right, got a motion to hear, got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, try again, Mr. J.
You have in your agenda packet the standard form resolution from the TML bond fund for capital outlay note with a 5-year term. This is their standard resolution. You also have information regarding, we are locked in. If the board chooses to proceed, we are locked in at an interest rate of 1.82% for the 5-year term of the note. And the intent of the board, excuse me,
State.
it will be placed with a bank, but at this point, we don't know which bank. The TML will do that. This is a result of your discussion during the budget meetings. This note would be repaid through our State Street Aid Fund as the revenue increases with our new census information.
And get a lot of streets paved.
The purpose of this is street repaving and our share of the Bowers Road improvement.
In all actuality, it's really only costing you .22, because we're getting 1.6 on our money. So if you take out a bond on it, it's really only cost you less than 1/4% to borrow the money. I make a motion to approve resolution 2183.
Have a motion, Vice President Sutton, to approve 2183. Have a second from Mr. Cates. All in favor?
None
Fix them
All right, I'll open the public hearing on resolution 2174, instituting a 120-day moratorium on new subdivision preliminary plots within the town of Oakland. I assume we will have someone want to speak on this. Come ahead, sir.
Excuse me.
Please identify yourself.
My name is Mark Meesey. I'm Vice President of the West Tennessee Home Builders Association. I represent 500 companies in the West Tennessee area, and certainly we do a lot of work in Oakland. We appreciate the partnership that we have with Oakland. And of course, representing developers and builders, we're not going to be in favor of a moratorium on sewer. I had the pleasure of going to school with Mr. Minor as well. I prepared a letter, if I could pass that forward, that would summarize our position.
If you would like to do so, just hand it to Ms. Yvonne. She'll pass it around.
Hopefully I got enough copies for everybody. Our position is really that we appreciate the partnership that
Thank you.
we have with Oakland. We think that Oakland is a really good growing city. Hopefully we can continue that relationship. We would hate for anything to affect that. And we don't think that a 120-day moratorium is really going to be the solution to this. We know that there are some problems with the sewer. But really what we're talking about with the way the moratorium works is it's going to be affecting lots that come online maybe 2 or 3 years from now. By the time that happens, this problem hopefully is going to be solved with the phased developments, the phased projects that you have with the sewer system. And the other thing is, I think it sends the wrong message to folks as far as the town of Oakland's willingness to be a development area. You think about what happened with the city, with Shelby County, the moratorium that was there on sewer. And to some degree, that may be one of the reasons why Oakland is such a successful city right now, because there's so many areas of Shelby County that have been affected by that moratorium.
No, don't destroy your credibility.
I was gonna say,
That's not the reason.
no.
And because Oakland is such a fine place.
There you go.
But,
We know why you're speaking to us now. You get on your feet. Go ahead, sir.
But I'm a real estate lawyer. I'm not a builder or a developer. So, again, I'm representing the Home Builders Association. But again, I just think this is it's just not the right solution. And again, I don't think it's going to have the desired effect. Just because down the line. The other thing is, there may be lots under contract that have due diligence provisions, where this may want project, and there may be projects where it is a contract and it may trigger some sort of breach. All those are problems that we just want to avoid. And that's really our position. Like I said, I think the letter pretty much states where we are in this, and we appreciate your ear, and hopefully you'll agree with us.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mr. J, would you like to make a comment?
Well, we're still in a public hearing.
Yep.
Okay,
Anybody else want to speak?
anybody, I'm sorry, does anybody else want to speak? I think we limited them.
Close it.
I'll close the public hearing at this time.
I make a motion to hear resolution 2174.
Have a motion to hear 2174, have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. Fisher? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ask to be recognized.
Yes, sir.
Or do you want to be first, Mr. Johnson?
If I could be first, but yes, if I may.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Johnson?
I think the gentleman makes some excellent points, and I don't disagree with several of his points. I would, however, his letter says it's not a capacity issue, but it's due to violations. That's not completely accurate. We have had violations. We have had some issues with that. The equipment failure we had earlier this year really contributed to that. Our problem is a capacity issue. You have a chart that I provided to you that Mr. Ellis prepared. For the first 6 months of this year, at a 1 million gallon day capacity plant, we exceeded our capacity on average daily volume 4 of the 6 months. And of the other 2, we were in the 90% range. We do have a capacity issue. Now, the moratorium was one way to try to address the future in how we can control the volume coming in. This proposed moratorium does not impact any current plats that have been approved or any current building permits. It was looking ahead to give us some breathing room. I would finally point out that this resolution was recommended by unanimous vote of the Planning Commission.
Okay, Mr. Sutter?
I'd just like to say that, as the gentleman stated, and after talking to several builders and developers, if somebody brings a plan in here now and they buy a piece of property, they're 2.5, 3 years away from having a structure on that land. I totally agree that this right here is for principal only and not. And I think our efforts ought to be concentrated towards things like putting a different system in for the car wash, or other people that's using large amounts of money. There's different systems that would release that into just like rainwater, that have its own purification or sanitizing right there on the property that would keep that out of our waste plant. I don't know how many gallons that is a month, but I'm sure if they're washing a lot of it, it's a lot of gallons. So there's things that we can be concentrating our efforts on that would reduce that capacity. I also think that the step systems that were approved on several of these developments later on, I understand that's like a 7-to-1 ratio helping out your wastewater treatment plant. But this plan is coming at such a bad time, y'all. We sit here and talk about Oakland, why hadn't we got this? Why hadn't we got that? Well, we hadn't had the numbers. We were at 6,300. Now the census is gonna come out. Within this period, we're gonna have the moratorium on. If somebody was interested in coming here and they start looking and they know we've got a moratorium,
They can't.
it's gonna discourage them looking at these properties on commercial taxes, which we need dearly. And so, I mean, I just think it's a bad time. I'm not sure that it's gonna help out our problem. We're already at capacity with how many houses? Between 12 and 1,500?
1,400.
1,400? 1,400 houses that are already approved. And this will only slow down what's gonna pay for that $8 million sewage treatment plant when it does get completed. And I certainly appreciate the work that was done on the planning commission, I do. But I feel like this could hurt us.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you, people that's working here, the people that's doing business here, we put a moratorium on, they're not gonna quit working. They're gonna pick up their crews, they're gonna pick up their people, and they're gonna go somewhere else. Y'all know how long it takes for working on subdivision. When was some of these subdivisions started? When was the gardens, the fields? When was that subdivision started? I can tell you this, the agreement that was made on tap fees out there to pay for that project is fitting to expire, and I think it was 20 years old. So-
2005.
So I mean, you do send that message, and something that wasn't mentioned was this: if you were a lender in a bank, would you loan somebody money to buy property in Oakland if Oakland had a moratorium that you couldn't do anything with it? I wouldn't.
Okay, anything? Anybody else?
Yeah,
Mr. Fisher?
that was a good words, but I'm totally against it. We need a moratorium, and I think it should be longer, because what's gonna happen is they're gonna start shutting off your toilets, because we have too much houses, 1,400 houses coming back online as soon as all this. We don't even have the capacity. If we're at 90%, at the end of the year, we're gonna be at 100%. And if we don't get it cleaned up, we are gonna be stuck with this, where they're gonna say, hey, sorry, you guys can't take a shower, you can't flush your toilets. You can go to Somerville, they got toilets that are working, okay? I live on a septic. It doesn't affect me. It only affects me if I get in problems with water coming in. But going out, that's on y'all. If we don't stop this and start getting our stuff fixed, that's up to you guys. You know who to blame after that. That's all I got.
How many houses we're looking at just this year and next year? 18 months, next 18
Well,
months.
in the
To be
first,
finished.
in the first 6 months of this year, the county issued just over 140 single-family residential permits. Walter, I don't remember the exact number,
Or
but
it's like 149.
yes. So if you project that out, you'd be looking at, what,
300.
400? Well, a year would be a 300, a year and a half would be 450.
But Mr. Fisher, you do understand that that's not gonna stop those 1,400 houses, this moratorium.
Not arguing that, but we gotta do something and start moving a little quicker then, because they're not gonna stop using the bathroom.
But there's not gonna be any bathrooms before we get done on what we're putting.
We're at
moratorium on.
90%.
Yeah,
These
but
houses by the end of the year is gonna be 100%. Where are you gonna put your, whatever?
Mr. K?
you're already gonna build the one that's already here. What we're talking about is the one that apply from now on. And that's gonna be a lot more than 4 months out.
Anybody else?
Mayor,
Yes.
if I may address the 4 months, and again, you may not agree with it, but there was some logic behind that. We are out to bid right now on the Phase 1 renovations, which is replacing our approximately 17, 18-year-old equipment in the plant. It will be new blowers, diffusers, motors that are more energy efficient and more efficient or effective in the treatment process. Once the bid is awarded, and I think I provided you information on this, various part components of those improvements will be done at 3, 6, and 9 months. So by the end of this 4 months, we'll know where we stand on the renovations. Secondly, our contract with our consultant for the design of the expansion is to be finished by the end of the year. Now, it has to go to TDEC for review and approval before we can bid it. But by the end of the year, we should have a firm schedule on the renovations and a firm schedule on the expansion. That's where the 120 days came from.
We got a couple of developers in here, don't we? If you
That's
buy,
why they're
if
here.
somebody, if Kim Sutton goes to buy a piece of property and made today, build a subdivision on it, what's the time limit it would take to do all that before the first house went up?
Let's let the spokesman answer that, please, if he can.
He said that earlier.
I think he did, but
It's gonna take at least 2 or 3 years, and
yes, sir.
between when it gets to initial planning till, it's anywhere close to being a buildable lot. And again, just like you're saying, there's 1,400 lots that are buildable right now. There's nothing about this ordinance that's gonna keep those houses from being constructed.
Anybody that's already been before the planning commission don't go into that, or the board. So if, like, you answered the question, he buys a piece of property, he buys 100 acres, 200 acres from me tomorrow. He wants to make subdivision. What's the time that you would say normal for the first house to be built on that?
Probably 3 years at best, if things are moving forward quickly.
3 years?
Probably 3 years. I would think on average.
Okay. That answer your question, Mr. Kate?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? And I'll close the hearing. Make a motion.
The hearing's closed.
Yeah.
We're hearing the resolution now.
Yeah, we're hearing
All right.
the resolution.
Want to hear the motion, hear the resolution?
No, we're already done
We're
that.
past
Okay.
it.
What is next? Make the motion to adopt the resolution, or is it completely dead?
So there hadn't been a motion made.
No motion to adopt?
I make a motion.
We have a motion for Mr. Fisher to adopt. Do I have a second? Dies for lack of a second. Moving on. I will open the public hearing on Resolution 2179, approving a plan of services for annexing of approximately 31.17 acres, parcel 003.00, Fayette County Tax Map 086, located on Highway 67 West. Open that. Anybody have a comment? Hearing no comment, I will close it. Have a motion to hear?
So move.
Motion to hear
Second.
2179.
2179, Mr. Duncan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. Hine. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. J?
As required by state law, the planning office prepared a plan of services. If a property is approved for annexation, this is how the city would provide municipal services. This is the Beaumont Farms property, and given where it's located, services are not an issue, and this property is proposed for a step system. May I ask a question of the developer?
Yeah.
Is the step system,
He's got
will the
it.
commercial area be on step system, or will the commercial area be on regular sewer?
It'll also be on step.
All right. Have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve 2179.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to approve,
Second.
second from Mr. Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on. I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2180, approving the annexation of approximately 31.17 acres, parcel 003.00, Fayette County Tax Map 086, located on Highway 67. Any comment?
Sixty-seven.
64. Yeah, okay.
67, we got a lot of roads.
Yeah, we do.
More roads.
It's one of them Missouri roads.
Actually, it's an Arkansas road.
Arkansas.
When you live in Arkansas, Missouri, and Tennessee, you get them mixed up. All right. I'll close the public hearing. Need a motion to hear?
Motion to hear resolution 2180.
Motion to hear 2180 by Vice Mayor Sutton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. J.
Gentlemen, you have a map on the back of the resolution. This is still Beaumont Farms, but the southernmost portion of this property is currently outside the city limits. And this resolution annexes that property into the city.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion from Mr. Fisher to approve. Have a
Second.
second. Second from Vice Mayor Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on. I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2181, approving a plan of service for annexation of approximately 15 acres, parcel 035.05, Fayette County map 086, located on Highway 64.
Motion to approve.
Now, just
Read it.
have a motion,
No, you close it, ask the clerk.
just a minute, please.
Sorry.
Is this the parcel the gentleman came to us
Yes,
and
sir.
asked for?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, I have a question here of the attorney before we do anything else. It is my understanding there's a disagreement on a survey that is between the two individuals there that are side by side. Can we operate or act on this with that survey being in question?
The annexation request, and I've not been involved in this process, but I assume that this is an annexation with the consent of that the property owner has brought to the town. The town is not, under the new statute, it's done with consent, correct?
Right.
Okay, so you would be taking the survey presented by the property owner,
Okay?
is that correct?
That is correct.
Correct.
All right. Mr. Swinks used to have a billboard that said, "Good surveys make for good neighbors," I believe, or "Good boundaries make for good neighbors." That's between two property owners.
Yes, sir.
So if this is the survey that's been brought to the board, then the board is perfectly fine in dealing with this survey.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Are we in a public hearing?
I don't think anybody spoke, did they?
No, we haven't spoken yet. I'm getting ready. I wanted to get that out there before I allowed anybody to speak. Okay, the hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to address this matter? Hearing no one wishing to address it, I will.
He was moving, Mr. Walker.
Mr. Walter, you want to talk, sir?
Yes,
Would you mind stepping to the podium?
I've been working on this for like 2 years, and I did everything that they asked me to do.
Yes, sir.
You know, the new survey, which cost me an arm and leg, and I did everything they asked me to do, you know? And it's my last wish is to build me a house. My
Yes,
old trailer falling in, and I just need me a new place to live, you know?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so that's all.
All right, sir. Thank you for your comment.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to hear resolution 2182.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor, to hear Resolution 2181.
81.
81.
80.
Have a second from Mr. Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. J.
To repeat myself, this is the standard language on how the city would deliver services to this property. Being immediately adjacent to our current city limits, it's not an issue.
Make a motion to approve 2181.
Second.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor Sutton, to approve. Have a second by Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Build you a house.
Not yet, not yet.
No, we're not through with it yet. I will now open a public hearing on Resolution 2182, approving the annexation of approximately 15.8 acres, parcel of 035.0, Fayette County Tax Map 086, located on Highway 64.
Make a motion.
No motion, nobody. We've already had all the comment, I believe, we need to have. No, none seen. We'll close the public hearing. Have a motion to hear.
Yes.
Have a motion for Mr. Fisher here. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second for Mr. Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. J.
This is the standard language, annex 15.8 acres.
All right.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion for Mr. Fisher to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have
Mr.
a second?
Pate, do you have anything to add?
Well, the single house has been approved on the plan of service for septic.
Okay.
Good.
What's the difference in 2181 and 2182?
81 is the plan of services, 82 is the actual annexation.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2182.
Mr. Fisher's already done that.
Second.
Mr. Sutton, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Now you can clap.
Sir, you can work on your house.
Get a building permit.
Get that building permit.
Building permit. At least you don't have to come back up.
All right.
Yeah. Good on him.
All right, we do need to do resolution. Make a motion, I'll open the resolution public hearing on resolution 21.
No,
Do what?
no motion on this.
No public hearing on this one?
No, sir.
All right,
Make a motion to hear 2184.
have a motion here, 2184. Do I have a second? Second for Mr. Cates, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. J.
I would defer to the town attorney. This is a subdivision development agreement with Twin Oaks, but it's taken a while to put this together, so I defer to Mr. Minor.
So this is an agreement that we discussed, I think, last Thursday night. As of last Thursday night, I approved the agreement after many revisions were made. I approved it as form. The only issue that was outstanding was whether or not Twin Oaks was going to take title to the property, which we have a copy of that deed. They have acquired title to the property from the property. So I would recommend for approval of the agreement.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2184, subdivision development agreement with Twin Oaks subdivision.
Have a motion, have a second for Mr. Cates, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now, we need to, it's 2185.
I make a motion to hear resolution 2185,
Have a motion.
approving an agreement with Twin Oaks PD for joint development of Bowers Road improvements, phase 1.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor Sutton, have a second?
Second.
Have a second for Mr. Duncan. All in favor? Mr. J?
Gentlemen, this agreement before you is the result of many discussions and meetings. As you all know, Bowers Road will effectively divide Twin Oaks Plan Development and our new park property. What we are proposing, and together, we will share in the cost of building the first phase of that road, which would be back to the new entrance of our park and entrance to their subdivision. As this agreement is prepared, they would actually do the work and we would reimburse the cost up to a certain amount.
That was up to.
Will they follow the same bid process we would in that form?
No.
Then why would we trust that we were only paying half then? Why, could we require them in this agreement to follow the same process we would by bids?
Well, I mean, if the board requests that as a condition, that it can be added in.
Well, I'd like for it to be bid out. That'd be the only way I know that the taxpayers were getting a fair deal. And so, you know, and just wondering why the contract reads that way, why they wouldn't reimburse us if we had that they don't have anybody to protect, they're spending their own money. We're spending every citizen's in Oakland's money. So we're gonna allow, and I solely don't have a problem with the builder, developer, or the property owner. I don't. But I'm just saying that I wouldn't approve it on nobody else. But why, is it normal for contracts for them to do the work and get paid? Or how's that work?
Well, certainly this is a very unique arrangement with developers to build the road in this manner. The city engineer would have oversight of the bidding process, for the use of the contractors, the cost, but it would not be bid out under the same rules as the town is required.
So we don't have oversight.
We have oversight.
We have oversight, but we would not be, these contractors that would be selected would not go through the same bidding process that would be done through, as though it was a town project.
What was the developer gonna do the road?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. J, you want to comment here?
This was a point of discussion as we begin this agreement, drafting this agreement. There were, from my perspective, there were two reasons why we went down this path. One is they're going to have a contractor on site doing work.
Right.
And so presumably there would be cost savings. The other one was purely financial. If we're the contractor, we've got to front the cost and get reimbursed. We're looking at about approximately 500, I think the estimate was $480,000 last I saw. We would have to front that money. And so that, from a purely financial perspective, I thought it might be better if they did the work. We could very easily, we could take the set of plans that have been developed and bid them. That's not an issue, at least from the city side.
Well, I mean, he's here, can we ask him what his process is for bidding that out?
Want to step forward, sir?
Yes.
How you doing, Keith?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, and I want you to understand that this is nothing towards you, it's just me trying to do my due diligence of making sure the taxpayers don't pay too much for paving of that road. And so, in anything that we do this, if something come up, that road will eventually extend further back, as y'all well know, the plan. So there's gonna be more people involved in this. And so whatever we decide on this is gonna affect that being the outlet 264 highway from the north side of town on every development that gets done. And so that's my concern.
Okay. Well, just for the record, I'm Keith Grant, 177 Crescent Drive in Collierville. So, yes, we did it. We're probably gonna do it a lot more affordably than if y'all put it out for a public bid. I don't see why it wouldn't be more reasonable in our case. We are gonna have a contract that's fitting the entire site, but we do everything by unit price. It's not like we go and, so we actually take the units. One of our jobs that we have set up is actually a Bowers Road job within our costing system. So when the contractor turns in his stuff by unit cost, I mean, it's not a lump sum. He bids it by, you're gonna pay X amount for every cubic yard of dirt that we moved, and amount of pipe, every lineal foot of pipe that you place, every square foot of asphalt. And it's, those quantities can be certified and tied back to the engineering plans that are approved by Ken King. And so when Ken reviews these, he'll see the bids, he'll see our cost on it, and he'll compare it versus the plans to make sure that everything comes in line with that. We have three, we'll look back to Mac, but Mac, we have three bids right now, and on the whole project, they're bidding the entire project, so it gives us a better deal on this. I can like, if we have to delay this any right now, the cost, I've never seen cost in my life. I've been in this business for 25 years, and the cost for site work right now are escalating by the month. Nobody
you submit an invoice to us, will it have the unit price and quantities in that invoice?
Absolutely.
I guess my question would be, could our engineer give us an estimate on what he believes that total project would cost?
I don't know if he's done a separate estimate, but he has been involved in the estimate on the road as to what our share would be, yes. Are you still looking at?
He's been critiquing our takeoff, so we gave him a unit cost takeoff of everything, and he's been going through and, I mean, he's definitely looked at every item, because we've talked about every single itemized piece on there.
So longer you wait, the more it costs us too, right?
I hadn't seen anything like this.
I know it's high, it's everywhere.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
I could just say one other thing, I'm sorry. But when we have worked within other towns, this is a customary way of how we handle things when we're asked to put in the road, involved in a public bid type process like that. So it's customary when it's part of our development agreement or part of the subdivision approval for us to bid it, put it in, and go out the way that we're handling it. So if we go a public bid involved in one, handled that way when we're handling the install of it.
Thank you.
And that costs us a lot more.
What are the wishes? Do I have a motion?
Is everybody comfortable? Mr. Minor, you comfortable?
I am. I've had many discussions with Mr. King and with representatives of the developer. I think everything that he says is.
You know, there ain't many meetings we should have had him here, but this is one we might have should have invited him to come. I'll make a motion to approve 2174.
Second.
Have a motion to approve 2174. Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, where are we at?
Or was that 85?
I think we proved the wrong thing. You might.
2185, I'm sorry.
I have a motion to approve 2185. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, you talking about me and my highways.
Well, it's 2 G's on there. It's
Yes.
F and 2 G's.
I caught that this afternoon.
All right. All right.
My second mistake today.
Motion to hear resolution 2186.
Have a motion to hear 2186, authorizing agreement with King Engineering for subdivision inspection services, Twin Oaks Plan Development. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second for Mr. Duncan. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. J.
This is the standard contract where King Engineering would inspect the development, and our fees cover that contract.
Okay. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve 2186.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor Sutton, to approve 2186. Have a second for Mr. Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion to hear resolution 2175. With the procurement of residential and municipal solid waste collection service.
Motion to hear.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor Sutton, second. Mr. Cates. All in favor? Jay?
We are in the 6th year of a 5-year contract with our present vendor for solid waste collection. I took the bid documents from 6 years ago, updated some of the provisions, and we would put this out for bid. Our current agreement expires December 31st, as you see in this. This one starts January 2nd. It will come back to this board for award once it's bid.
What, didn't the board discuss to add some stuff to this contract? Like, more pickup on brush and things of that nature?
And if you look on, 4.2, additional costs and charges, did I read that right, or is it just once that rate is set, they can't change it, right? For a year, 2 years?
Okay.
4.2, additional costs and charges.
4.3 says they cannot change it except by mutual agreement. 4.2A, and the attorney could address this, but I think that addresses if there's changes in the law, particularly related to disposal costs, that they could increase it then. Or we could cancel the contract and rebid it.
I like that.
I just don't think that they should
I don't like
have- If you get a contract with somebody, I'm not sure that shouldn't be worded a different way, but if you get a year, 2-year contract with somebody, you shouldn't feel that obligation.
As written, this is a 2-year contract with 3 one-year renewals.
9.1. We
What my experience, when the city provides a service, we run extracurriculars. Private contractors don't do that.
But I'm saying that they have control over, not the weather, but they have control over whether to run in
Yes.
empty weather.
Yes.
But if they miss 2 days in a row where other towns are still picking it up, I don't understand that part. If other towns can pick it up, why can't they?
Well, I guess my only answer to that would be, it better not be the same contractor. If it's a different contractor, I can't control.
Different company, yeah.
Yeah.
But why couldn't we not word that one too?
Okay, we can. How do you want it to read? I
When
mean,
we had the bad weather, the heavy weather, did they
Yes.
get paid for not picking up garbage?
Yes. It's in the contract.
So, I mean, I think that's what
did
we're
no
trying to say here, right?
Yes.
If they gonna get paid for picking it up and they don't pick it up, why should a citizen have to pay for them to pick it up if they don't pick it up?
Mr. Minor, could you help me rewrite 9-1?
I can, I mean, that's a pretty standard force majeure clause, but, well, I think a lot of the, and I don't know who Oakland's contractor is, but I know a lot of them, because I know Rossville went through this with their, contractor over the February, snowstorm. Their argument is they ultimately picked it up. Now,
But it says
everyone
one
in-
pick up a week.
Right.
And if they go 2 days and then they're not picking up everybody, we get complaints all the time they didn't pick their garbage up.
Yes, we do. You're right on
And
that.
they rely on this clause. And of course,
What do you do
to
then?
my knowledge, I know the contract with the vendor in Rossville has only utilized that force majeure clause once, and that was this February with the snowstorm. But that's what it's there for, in those events. Their argument is, yes, we missed it that week, but we did ultimately pick up all the garbage
The next
now,
week.
the following week. Now, a lot of people obviously found by either going to a commercial, dumpster or whatever ways to, take care of some of their overflow.
But if you put your dumpster out the night before they're gonna run, say mine runs on Tuesday, I push it out on Monday night. They don't run on Tuesday due to weather, and I'm not gonna pull that garbage can back behind my yard. It's gonna sit there and they pick it up. It's already running over. So why would I put it behind my house to have to carry back down there and then tote bags down? Then they won't pick the bags up unless they're in the can.
Those are all good points.
Now, as this is written, they have to pick up at least 3 bags.
What if you got 3 bags of grass? Or 3 bags of limbs?
And then you had the COVID emergency where they wasn't picking up anything that wasn't in a container. They wasn't hand touching anything.
I don't mean to go off topic, but we should ask our residents not to put grass and limbs in with municipal household solid waste. We're paying dearly for landfill costs, and grass doesn't need to go in a landfill. That's something that I would hope over the life of this agreement, whoever our vendor is, we really need to work on that.
Let me give you.
We're paying $50 a ton round numbers for landfill disposal.
But if you-
Grass can go into a demolition landfill for $15 a ton.
I had 11 bags of grass on my street one time. My neighbor had 8. we called them, they said they couldn't pick up at 10. But they wasn't gonna come back and get them. Next week I had 23 out. You know what they did? They sent a truck out there with an arm on it to pick up plastic bags of grass. Guess what happened?
Well, broke.
I picked up 6 extra bags of grass where they dropped it and left it. They're using that arm with the garbage cans and they're tearing the cans off the faces.
Well, we have in our budget to buy one of those trucks with an arm. That's what we would be doing as a city.
Just yard waste.
Yes, sir. We talked about during the budget,
I understand.
you know, because if we can pick up yard waste and take it to a non-household waste landfill, we'll save money. And I'm sorry, I'm off topic, but there's a lot of issues related to this whole contract. The other one, if I may jump ahead, I know we had talked about recycling. I've talked to 2 different contractors over the last couple of weeks. The recycling market is almost non-existent right now. And we either would not get a bid for that or it would be high because they have no way to dispose of it right now. Now, I would like to see this city have a recycling program more than we have now, but that's the other thing we need to look at.
Do y'all wanna, oh, I'm
Hold
sorry.
up a second. Mr. Fisher had a question.
Yeah, you stated, what is it, 9-1? Said that they get paid no matter they come to pick it up or not. If my maid comes to my house, she gets paid for cleaning. Well, if she doesn't show up, she don't get paid, but we're paying trash men not to show up. Sounds like, that just one is idiotic, okay? We don't get reimbursement for that. Now say, oh, well, they eventually pick it up. Well, eventually, but how many times have I called and said, literally, they have forgotten my house again, probably once a month. I don't get my trash picked up. And I've got my neighbors right here and they'll testify for that. This is crazy, and we're saying,
I
hey,
would-
they get paid anyways.
I would tell the board of all the places I've lived, the service here has probably been the most irregular. To your point, I'm a Monday
It is.
pickup. It's probably a lot of times Tuesday afternoon before it's picked up.
Last summer, I had 2 guys.
I don't like
I
this
went to
contract.
3. I went to all 3 houses and looked. The driver of the truck told me that they wouldn't pick them up. And they were, in fact, I called Mr. Ellis and he verified what I'm saying. They were cutting 4-foot strips, but they just out on the street. The driver told him that he wouldn't pick them up unless they were tied. There's nothing in that contract that says you have to tie that. Am I correct, Mr. Ellis?
Yes, sir.
In fact, I called him and he came and I went back and told the guy, and I think Jenna, somebody called him, they went back, but the driver shouldn't be telling somebody
No.
not gonna pick up
No.
something.
Is this a request to enter into an agreement with the same people we got, or open bid process?
This is an open bid process.
That's what I'm saying, you
But
know?
it's
And
just same
so,
contract, right?
but, yeah, well, we've discussed trying to get that out of there, but here's what we may wanna do now. It's August, so, you're trying to get a contract and it expires in December. So what you certainly don't wanna do is have a town full of garbage come January. Or around Christmas time, when the most garbage you're gonna have is gonna be there.
Yep.
So maybe an option is taking a 1-year bid and to see what the difference in the cost would be in a 1-year and a 2-year with a 3-year renewal. And so maybe try to get it bid out for 1 more year, and then work on these problems we got there. You certainly don't wanna run into the problem where you're not getting your trash picked up at all. And that's what I'm afraid of right
A
now.
1-year contract with 2 1-year renewals?
3.
Well,
With who?
Whoever's low bidder is.
Whoever the
Okay.
low bidder.
I can
1
deal
year
with
with
that.
2-year option.
I just don't like this
Do
one we have.
y'all wanna go ahead and try to take this
Don't like what we have.
9 out, force majeure? That's,
I would defer, I would say you ought to defer to the lawyer, say on
I don't know
that.
what the law is on that. I'm not a lawyer.
I think most solid waste,
if we took it out, you think they'd put it in?
they're gonna ask for it in, yeah.
Or increase their price.
I mean, and y'all, here's the thing that we're worried about now. How many times in y'all's life in the state of Tennessee have you seen weather like we had last year?
Very good point.
I mean, let's not act like we're in Michigan or something, or Alaska.
2004, 94, that's it.
Okay.
I could very easily change this to a one-year contract with 2 one-year renewals.
I think that's what it ought to be.
Well, you could give them an option. I think that your lower rate is gonna be on your longer contract if you could give it, so I think you ought to get it. And here's our problem with this on contracts with a board that's expiring in a year and 3 months. So can we enter into a contract that ain't for the term of the board? Huh?
Well, you're never gonna have a contract now like that.
Well, you will when it eventually starts 4-year term. But the thing, I know that come up on another issue. On another issue on a contract is we couldn't do it but so long because the term of the board didn't last but that long.
What about just a flat 2-year contract with no renewals?
Is it,
See what the price would be.
on that question about the board expiring?
I'm almost positive that you have the authority to enter into a contract that extends on this type of contract, extends the contract of this.
Well, the board's only gonna change every 2 years.
If I may, one other cost consideration we need to remember. If it's a change in contract, or if it's a change in vendor, they've got to deliver us 5,000 rollout containers. They're gonna bill that into their cost. And I think on a 2-year contract, that may increase our costs slightly.
Decrease, increase.
Increase. Now,
Well, it
and
gives
I'm-
the existing contractor an advantage on the bid.
It does. That without question, it gives the existing contractor because he's already absorbed that cost. But, I mean, that was, I think, the reason that this was essentially a 5-year contract to start with.
I don't have any trouble with the company we got, except I just have trouble with the contract.
Well, your earlier point, we get several complaints a week on missed pickups. The other problem we have, and we're gonna have this for years to come, with new subdivisions where you'll have 1 or 2 families at the end of a street and 6 houses under construction. Fairway Village is a perfect example. If you drive back into Fairway Village, you've got 10, 14 homes under construction, and you've got 2 or 3 occupied. And we get complaints on missed pickups there that are somewhat understandable, but we give them an address once the water is turned over and put in that person's name, that the solid waste company is notified.
Well, they should be picking it up.
They should be picking it up, but that is an area where we get complaints.
We need to allow this to go out to bid tonight, one way or the other. I'm just saying.
I agree.
It's gonna
Make
be
a motion.
expensive or stinky.
Go for a 2-year.
2 plus 1 or 2?
Yeah.
What was the original bid?
The original bid was 5 years. The city did not rebid it last year like they were supposed to.
What
and
what
that's
is the your proposal?
Well,
do you
what I
recommend?
drafted was a 2-year with 3 one-year renewals.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Option or the automatic?
Option,
Okay.
Never automatic.
Difference.
yes.
So either one should break
Made a
it up
motion
to
on
2
that.
years
Yes.
as option.
I have a motion for Mr. Fisher to accept the recommendation of Mr. J. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Need a motion to hear resolution 2178, authorizing the advertisement of bidding for fiscal year 2022 street paving. This is for bid package 1. I would remind the board that we'll be doing 3 bids this year.
So moved.
Have a motion to hear?
Second.
Second. Mr. Cates, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. J.
Mr. Ellis could address this as well. You have the maps of the streets that would be included in bid package 1. And as the mayor said, our intent is to come back shortly with a bid package 2 of additional streets.
Is this just the first, and we having 2 more?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey, would you like to comment on this?
Just answer any questions, anybody have any? You did get the maps, right?
Yes.
Next thing's your cost estimate, that we kind of, we prepared the budget, look ahead,
All right.
expect that soon.
So this first map is South Wind Drive,
Yes, sir.
Phase
and
A.
then a couple of coves, Windy Cove and Sunny Cove.
Actually, it's just, we would say it's phase 1, the original phase 1. This was done in 2 phases, and that first phase is failed.
What's the cost on the first one?
I don't have cost on it, not tonight. I expect them soon.
And then the second, is this the second phase, this Riverdale Road
Yes, sir.
and Oak Ridge Drive?
No, I have Oak Ridge Drive on my
No,
Riverdale and Riverdale Extended.
Oh, I thought where the dark was on detail A.
No, that's the very end, yeah, where it turns on, Oak Ridge Drive, yeah, that's gonna take the FDR, the area in red. The green is gonna be just a mill patching overlay, and the blue is gonna be just patching overlay.
We've got black and white.
Huh?
Down over here.
sorry.
For the red.
I was too, that's what I
No,
thought.
I can see the confusion, that's, you can pass that around. I can email those to you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd like to see
You
that.
got a red mark?
You need another code, so you guys?
I would love it because I get more questions on this than anything in this town.
Yep.
Okay.
Does anybody want to see this?
I know you rode the streets. What that street is it? Misty Road that Suzanne runs, it dead ends to, and then comes this way. Where all those like this, about 3 or 4 humps. Then they put speed bumps in, you can leave them.
See what email call for, I was gonna point it in cost estimate if I have it.
Found the red.
And so this, is this all the paving that we're planning on doing this year?
No, sir. This is
Phase
bid
Just
package
phase
1.
one? Okay. All right.
Our goal is to do 3, maybe 4 bid packages. There's 2, maybe more reasons. One is, I think, or we hope we can control the schedule better with not having a massive program. Second one, as we talked about during the budget meetings, several of you thought if we had smaller amounts, we would get more bidders.
That's what I was fixing to mention, that's what Mr. Sutton brought up. Because they can't afford to put up that high price
Yes.
bond, but they do
Got him
good
there.
work.
All right, Mr. Fisher,
So
and then Mr. Hahn.
you're gonna give us a, cost estimate on each phase? Phase 1, phase 2, how
No,
many?
tonight, all I will have was the cost estimate for what's before you tonight.
One.
Which is all
Bid
these?
package 1.
It's either
Okay.
3 or 4 units, in bid package 1, yes.
Okay.
And then you'll, why I'm looking at this is because we need paving done, but do we have it in the budget for what all this is gonna cost? Because every
Yes.
time we run over, we get
Well,
run over.
That's why we're doing in bid packages at a time. But you have, and help me here, I believe we had 300,000 in the state street aid fund,
No, there's 300 in
Public Works, 300 in Public Works, plus you just borrowed $800,000.
And 4 of that goes to the park.
No, 250 goes to the park. 50 is a contingency, and 500,000 is for street resurfacing.
Or, yeah. Go ahead.
Mr. Hahn.
You're right.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve 2178 because we need these streets paved.
I got a question.
All right, hold up just a second. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Now I can hear Mr. Cage's question. Mr. Case?
Even though we're contracting this out, is the town still gonna do some patching?
That's the blue.
What percentage you
No,
think,
that's not to do with this.
what percentage you think y'all will be doing on some of this?
Again, we're limited in what we can do. We do have some capital stuff in this budget. We have a new roller that's gonna help. We have a small miller that we're gonna purchase from the county to add to our equipment that we use now. So, that's gonna help expand what we can do, but we're gonna take care of the smaller projects.
And we got
I
3
one more
coming.
question, I'm
This is
through.
one.
All right,
Two
Mr.
more.
Case, one more question.
The companies as we're bidding this to, are they using a recycle or is it virgin?
We usually allow some wrap in the base course only.
Do what?
We allow the recycle in base course only. So this is gonna be, most of this is just gonna be overlay, so there should be little wrap in that, if any.
Okay, I'm through.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Ah,
Aye.
fix these roads.
Mr. Mayor, you wanna do 2172 now?
Fire department agreement.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the,
This right here?
The wastewater plant that was deferred.
To the end.
All right.
70,
Which one is that?
The wastewater plant that was pulled off the consent agenda,
Okay, could you give us?
because it was a
Okay,
resolution.
Correct,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right. Have a motion to hear this?
Yeah, motion to hear 2173,
72.
72.
Have a motion to hear 2172. Do I have a second? Have a second, Mr. Cates. All in favor?
aye.
Mr. J.
I pulled it off for the mere fact that my concern was it was advertised in the paper on August the 11th, and now I don't know where I put it when I did. Has anybody got a copy I can see real quick? Because Mr. Johnson advised it had what language in it, Mr. Johnson?
It had that the board acknowledges and approves the notice to bidders as released on August 3rd, 2021.
And I understand that it is. I was just wanting a legal opinion to make sure that we're passing a resolution to acknowledge the bid process, but it's already been bid in the paper August the 11th, and now it's August the 19th. So that was my question for the attorney.
This would amount to a ratification on the board's part of something that's already done. Is there, I guess that would be, I don't have any opinion that that you cannot ratify what's already been done. Certainly, that's not the way it's normally done.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Jay.
I did this administratively for 2 reasons. One is, I think we all know that making the improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, time is of the essence.
yes.
We wanted to give at least 21 days public notice to the bidders.
Okay.
So that's what, the second one is, by opening it on I think it's the 30th of August, I believe is the bid date. I'm sorry, 31st. 31st. That will give the engineers time to evaluate the bids, work with the successful bidder, where we can have a contract for award on your September meeting agenda. If, and certainly I respect if that's the decision, if we have to re-advertise it,
Push
I
it up
don't
on-
know that we can get it on the September agenda, but I wouldn't hesitate to ask the mayor to call a special meeting if we have to do that, but that's why I was trying to do what I did.
What the board needs to examine is, did it in any way prejudice any potential bidder that might be out there that could submit a competitive bid that would be a qualified bidder and possibly the lowest bidder? I don't know that having, now looking at it and ratifying it and having the opportunity to see the wording of the notice, that would be the case.
How would we know that it didn't discourage somebody?
Well, it's always very
We
difficult
don't
to
know.
prove a negative.
But I mean, actually, this is really an emergency circumstance as well.
Yeah, it
And I
is.
mean, you have exigent circumstances that exist, for sure. I mean,
I think
Could I
the
follow up
argument
on
is that it did not
If I may follow up on that, Harvey, the blower unit that failed,
Yes.
would it have normally been included in this bid if we hadn't bought a new one already? Is that part of the efficiency we're talking about?
Bids are not in, blowers are not in this renovation.
Okay,
The other end of the blowers where the diffusers, where the oxygen transfer, it's gonna increase oxygen transfer, but thus making the blower more efficient.
I certainly think we don't need to hold this up any. This is what we need going now. I mean,
this was not intended in any way to cut anybody out of it. It
Right.
was simply a matter of
That's
time.
the only analysis that really is important.
I don't see any prejudice at all. I don't see how it would restrict anybody from bidding. I mean, they were notified, and if they did call, they were told that we would be letting out a package probably after tonight's meeting or so. I'm gonna make a motion to approve Resolution 2172.
Have a motion to approve from Vice Mayor Sutton, have a second from Mr. Fisher, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Move back over to consideration of business items.
Fire department agreement.
Chief Walls? The SO agreement.
Oh, yeah, this is, President, the software that we use, to report each call to the state that I get your statistics through. Also, hydrants, where we can pull them up on the MDT. As you know, the county's going to a CAD system that we could get a lot more information. We're gonna put, computers in the apparatus. We can download, run information. It gives us a lot more. The problem is the system that we have right now, ESO, that I'm presenting, bought out Firehouse, which is a reporting system. They also bought an emergency reporting that bidded against them. But, what this does, by entering this contract, this allows us to do reporting to the state, both EMS and fire. It allows us to, download training information, get free training from them. Well, it's not free, we're paying for it. But basically, this is the brains in the fire. This keeps up with everything we do, from fire hydrants to training to hazardous material, and which our software doesn't do now because it's outdated.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Is that included in your budget for this
Yes,
year?
sir.
I make a motion, we approve that.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Vice Mayor Sutton, have a second from Mr. Cates, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go to it.
You know,
That
he
was
get
easy enough.
long-winded.
That was a lot easier.
You're saying chief would get long-winded?
Oh, my God.
Oh, not chief.
Now we're back to the standard.
All right. I believe we're now ready for consideration of business items. Report on new park property timber. Jay, Harvey?
Gentlemen, in your packet is an estimate of a probable value of a portion of the timber that's on the property. And you have a map in your packet, and it's actually upside down.
Yes, it is.
Highway 64 is at the bottom of the map. But the area that is hatched off, cross-hatched off, would not be disturbed. The only timber would be harvested from the north half of the property and the 4 acres at the bottom along the highway. Harvey?
Yes, this map may be a little better, I don't know, I don't want to hold it, maybe not. 64's up here.
We have black and whites.
Again, sorry. Yes, Mr. Johnson and I discussed this to see if there was any value in it. We have a local resident who is a retired timberman. I don't know if that's the official terminology, but that's, asked him to go out and look at the property, evaluate it, give an estimate, that maybe what you have, I'm not sure what you have. And then after that, we have contacted 2 to 3 companies that do that. The first, we've contacted 2 I know of. The first 2 didn't see any real value in it. We're scheduled to meet with another one tomorrow, which is the larger one, the one that was recommended that would probably be interested in the property. I don't have any information to update you other than that. That's where we're at.
Harvey, do you know, you and I haven't talked, Are there any what I would call specimen trees? Are there any extremely large, extremely old trees on this property?
I don't know.
It is on the property, I don't know if it's on that
Probably
end
not
or
in
not.
this designated area. He made little notes, like hardwoods over here, pulpwood over here, old fields, so like hardwoods here, little things like
What-
that. I don't know.
What do you estimate, about 20,000?
You know, here, on one hand, we're talking about a tree ordinance, and on the other hand, we're talking about cutting them down.
Yep.
Well, no,
10 inches
yes,
are-
yes, but
You gotta get rid of them anyway.
these trees are coming down.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I'll share with you, and I've got information coming to you, but Tori and I had a conversation with the park designers. We are leaving 30 to 50 feet on the west property line and a portion of the north property line as a tree buffer with the adjacent properties. We're going to practice what we preach.
Okay.
And so, and that's shown, it may not be very good on here, but that's shown that we won't be clear, we're not clear cutting this property,
No.
but
But if you're cutting trees that's gotta come down anyway, why not get the money out of it?
Yeah, I agree.
that's where we are.
Mr. Fisher?
And you're taking the stumps with you? Cause we gotta clear that of stumps as well, right?
No,
We're early in the process, so
Oh, okay.
no, I can't answer that.
that'd be in.
So that's not part of the 20,000 that
No.
we're gonna be recovering? It is?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
They don't do the stumps, I tell you right now.
I know they
Do the park, when they grade that, they get the stumps.
I think it's
All
included.
right, what's the board?
I'd say if they just gonna cut the trees,
I should, you all recall with the five soccer fields and baseball fields, there really was an way to save trees in that area. It's gonna be along the property lines. Now, as we go south, we get into the disc golf course and some of that, yes, trees can be saved.
walking trails.
Exactly.
That'd be trees
Yes.
there.
Yes,
You just actually gonna take down what they gonna have to push up.
yes, sir. That was yes.
All right, everybody happy? We'll look for a bid on it then, okay? B, consideration of concession stand usage agreement, Cypress Park Creek with American Legion, Tennessee Post 292, Fall Soccer 2021 for rental fee of $1. Mr. J.
You have in your agenda packet the standard reservation form that Oakland Parks and Rec uses. This is for the fall soccer league, time frame only. Not that it might not be renewed or whatever, but that's all this is. That's with the American Legion Post 292.
If I could speak, I talked to Mr. Steve Yant, which was instrumental in the bridge contract with the veterans, and he assured me that this money would be spent one of two ways, on this community or for the veterans. And I don't know any better causes.
Either
So,
way you spend it's fine with me.
and one incident, and let me just, he shared this with me, so I was gonna share it with y'all. So, you know, we made a donation to the veterans because they helped us build that bridge back down there. And, there was a veteran that was basically kicked out. He didn't have a way to go from Texas, car breaks down, and they used part of the money to get that guy a ticket, $180-something, and paid for him a hotel room and got him back to Texas where his home is. And so, you know, they use funds like this to help out these guys, and I think that this is a good way to operate this. I know that we can't operate it for a profit, so, and it probably wouldn't be open. I don't know that I've ever seen that concession stand open, and if it was, maybe y'all can tell me when. I don't know.
But the beauty of this is we don't have to buy the inventory, we don't have to maintain the inventory, we don't have to pay the people to staff.
What about insurance?
This requires that they have a certificate of insurance for us.
We don't have to pay the insurance.
No.
Well, No, we'll have the insurance on the building and all,
Right.
but they're to provide a,
Care.
general liability, policy.
Our building next
Mr. Hunt?
I just have a comment, and I can speak from, coaching in OPR, several seasons. There are multiple families that participate, in our leagues, whether it's fall soccer, football, whatever it is. And, you know, the veterans did us a solid getting that bridge. So now we don't have to walk on the highway no more. Now we got to cover lunch, and this is gonna keep our people in our parks and make it
I
easy.
talked to a guy that was down there 8 hours one day, Todd,
Yeah,
with his family.
I was down there.
Nothing to eat or drink.
Hey, I was down there last season because I had to coach 2 teams, and yeah, that's a long day. And you don't leave; you're there.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
Have a motion to approve this agreement with the veterans.
I second.
Have a second, Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, veterans.
Abstain.
Stay.
Got an abstention over here.
Chapter.
Okay, moving on to next C, consideration of use and maintenance agreement with Welch Properties, US Highway 64. Mr. J?
I think the board members are aware that we've had conversations, I have, several of you had, with Mr. Welch about the possibility of the city using that vacant property for various things. This is a formal agreement, where we would mow the property and pick up after any fest or anything like that in return for having access to that property.
Or if anybody uses it with our permission,
With our
they
permission.
pick up.
Yes.
Okay.
Are we gonna use it enough to verify keeping that grass cut?
Sir, I think that's a very good question. I think we've talked about a lot of events, for example, a car show or things like that would be an excellent location for. On the other hand, we probably are going to keep a lot of our events at Cypress Creek Park until the new park opens. This is the proposal,
It's, we had talked about having an open air market and things of that nature sitting there. And that'd be an opportunity if the town approved that event for food trucks to come in once a month. And so people would have those options of doing that, or vendors that want to do it.
As you all know, this property has a paved street down the middle with a T. I mean, it's got very good access, it's got very good visibility, but I think your valid question is, how much would we use it? I don't know the answer to that.
Mr. Harvey? How much do you figure that it would cost the town to keep that cut?
It would just be a guess, I would hate to throw a number out. I think it's how much, 3 acres?
No, it's 9 acres.
9 acres.
It's 9 acres with some asphalt, but the first thing you'd need to do is go in there and, I could supply the trailer and the chemical and spray that thing with MSMA where you get rid of all that Johnson grass and then you deal with Bermuda. But there's some things that could be done in community that could help get that done, like we have the elementary school and the park and people working on it. But if we make this a place to go and people know that that's a place that we have, that the town can have events, what if we lose our agreement with the school? Then we've got Cypress Creek Park. Well, how big is that parking lot if you have an event there? So I understand that Mr. Johnson says we're gonna try to have everything there, and I understand it, but this may change that. This may change where you have events.
Hey, if I may, on the park survey, remember that when the developers were here and they were telling everybody, the number one thing requested on that survey was walking paths, walking trails. Nothing else, we can provide that for our citizens. There's a sidewalk that goes to it.
Yeah, it's if you talk about, I don't know what it would cost to mow it. I know that it probably gets mowed 3 times a year at the most. It's what the-
But if we're gonna use it, we need to keep it mowed down just like we would everything else.
I agree. We would probably mow it at least once a month, every 3 weeks, something like
But
that.
you're looking at recouping those costs also, Mr. Cates. If you're gonna have vendor spaces there and you just did it to cover the cost of maintaining the property, what would you be out?
You can do
Nothing.
that.
What would you be out? Nothing. So, I mean, you'd be providing something that wouldn't cost you a dime.
Yeah.
But you just have to get something done, and I guarantee you, if you start doing that once a month, I guarantee you that you will have some traffic right
You
there.
could set up a farmer's market there locally.
Very
Good.
much so, very much so.
Looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor Sutton. Have a
Second.
Second, Mr. Hine, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, got an abstention over here from Mr. Fisher. All right, we have no other items of business that I know of.
The beer board meeting,
Beer board meeting, thank you for reminding me. Mr. J, what's your suggestion on that?
while an application has not been filed, we understand there may be one coming in. And so I thought we might want to go ahead and schedule a beer board meeting prior to your September meeting. If no application's filed, we will cancel the meeting. But I want to make it a matter of record, if we need a beer board meeting.
So we would schedule the beer board meeting at 6 o'clock on the night of our meeting.
6:30.
6:30, okay.
They don't normally don't last over 10 minutes.
Is it the
Okay.
16th or the 19th?
They bring it soon.
It's 16th or 19th of September?
Today?
No,
No,
Third.
it's the regular board meeting date.
It's next meeting.
16,
yeah, we gotta do
because 18, we're going.
Right.
Need a motion on this?
I don't think so.
We'll just schedule it?
I think the rule has always been that if you have an applicant, you schedule one before the meeting.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Moving on. Ms. Yvonne, you got any invoices?
Actually, I do not.
How about approval of credit applications?
I have nothing.
Okay?
I would like to mention one thing. This is something that I passed to Mr. Johnson, passed information to Mr. Johnson yesterday. We have a Verizon contract with our, for ourselves and what have you. The water department is looking to get some laptops or
Pads.
iPads.
Okay.
And anyway, well, in order to do that, they are wanting to piggyback, not make a new contract, but piggyback off of the current contract to be able to have these isolated directly to that department. So,
It works to our advantage to do it that way.
yeah,
Okay.
And you can always go to a state contract.
it
It
is
is
a
the
state
state
contract.
contract.
And so,
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
would, Harvey, could you take 2 minutes and explain why you're buying these iPads?
I recently came across a mapping program that we were able to sign up for a year at a very, very reasonable cost. It's very user-friendly. It's not the fancy, full-blown GIS mapping that we hope to get to one day, but it's steps above where we are now, miles above. And the primary use of these 3 tablets would be for the men to use in the field to locate water valves, water meters. They can pull up, touch a water main, see what size it is. They just give us a lot of flexibility. That's where they primarily use.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I would say there's no concerns of that. Don't need a motion, we can just move on.
No, that was information.
Okay.
I make a motion, we enter executive session.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor Sutton, to go into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second for Mr. Hine. All in favor? We will move into executive session. We will return to make any motions outside.
I
of
pause
I know,
this
Jack,
recording.
I know, you don't need to.
I pause that recorder, Mr. Young.
Thank you.
Whatever we're paying you right now, we'll double it.
Effective immediately.
Effective immediately by executive order of the mayor.
That's the first time it's gone to sleep on me.
Yes, it is.
I think it's the internet. Okay. Yeah, and because I messed with the bit rate a little bit and I put it down and just kind of killed the bit rate so it wouldn't be the highest quality, but the stream's been pretty consistent since. it still buffers. And so I'm assuming it's the internet somehow, some way. So there's not much you can do. Yeah.
But that's what the other people have been telling me, and I'm like, you know, I just couldn't jump back and forth
Now,
constantly.
one thing I know, this card here is probably not, I kicked it to just stream too because it was having a hard time doing both. And so I knew that the stream, we all had the audio, we wanted one of them to work. We wanted to get a higher power SD card. I don't think, that's a 128, 300, but they've got something called PNY, and they're meant for more of audio and video type recording. See, and I can send it right to the top and give to you or however they get to you. And then my recommendation would be to get one that is bigger than 120. I would try to go to the 512 or 1 terabyte because as long as these meetings can go, and if one night someone forgets to grab the file the next morning or whatever and it stacks up, you know, at 1 terabyte, it'll be around $100, $200.
Well, I mean, it's an investment.
And it will last. Everything else, I mean, the only other thing that I noticed was just in the beginning people would have the lights on and they turn it on, so everything's fine. And other than the internet, I don't know what else to do other than to get AT&T or whoever the provider is to come out and now, what do y'all have here as far as what plan do y'all have internet-wise? Comcast, okay. Do you know if AT&T has their fiber out there? We had problems with Comcast where I live over there in Oakland, Ridge Drive. And they said that when I perked up, that's my street. And but we had Comcast. We switched to AT&T fiber. They finally let us away. We paid $700. But everybody I talk to, it goes one way or the other. There's no problems with AT&T or problems with Comcast. We've had great, yeah, we've had great success with AT&T, the fiber. I get a 1,000 download or something speed or whatever. It's supposed to be really fast. I only pay $100 a month, but I don't know what they would do for a large building and how much it would cost or if it would be consistent. The other big problem that would help, I think I mentioned this to Jay, if you told people to cut their Wi-Fi off, that would help. And that's the problem. You know, yeah, it's just free and there's nothing that they need to worry about. But overall, it was good. It took me about 5 minutes to get the bit rate to go the right way and to get it back up. Once it was done, we just had minor buffering. I went down to 1 meg. So I'm down at 1, and then I also turned off the recording and streaming. I just went to stream only since it was giving me fits, because it kept saying the SD card can't keep up. And so I kicked it to that, and then I just put that down to 1 meg. And I sent the equipment, a picture of the equipment to a buddy of mine who is very knowledgeable in this. And he said the equipment is fine. It's got to be the internet or the setting. And he said since you put it down to 1 meg, he said you really can't go higher than that if the internet's messed up. It's going to kill the stream. And that might be why it's been dying on, because I did notice it was on 5 megs.
Yeah.
And so if it's at 5 megs and that's higher than it can go, it will kill it. 4 megs and 2 megs.
Yeah, see, this got changed to 519, that's why the video got out.
Yeah.
And they changed that to 2.
And it might be the handle too. But anything higher than that is just asking for trouble, I guess. Sure.
But no, I mean, this thing is part first of all, I don't even like cell phones.
Yes, I understand.
I love my computer that I work with,
Yes.
but this is out of my.
And I don't know, I mean, the other recommendation, extreme only, and then I think it should just be on one thing, the video bit rate. So I guess if you cross that out and just put a one next to it, that would be,
Because it was at 1.5, he updated a firmware or something like that. See, I've been
and they're gonna do what they think is the standard, based on what they know this equipment should run at. And then everything else is the same that it was. One more thing I would mention at some point, since the internet is so tricky, my recommendation would be to get another one of those cameras next to that, just for recording. And that way, if something ever happens to the stream, you've got another camera that is recording, and that clean copy can be uploaded to YouTube that night when it's over. That would be the way
See,
that
I
I
hadn't
would
even
go
got
about
to
doing
the
it.
point of being able to upgrade it through the website.
Right. And so that would be, because if you do it that way, no matter what, as long as, you know, the person remembers to hit the record button on the software, you're good to go. You'd be fine. Now, in theory though, you would probably be able to do this first if you can get the SD card figured out. I've got one. I might come up here sometime next week with the one I have and play around with it a little bit. I'll see if it gives any problems. But if it works, that would be the one I'd get.
People aren't gonna be here.
That's true. That's true. But if it will record to it, we know at least it will record to the SD card. That'll be the only test I'd be worried about, because you do record and stream, it doesn't matter if anybody's here, if the SD card can keep up with the recording, you're covered.
Okay.
And then you don't have to get another camera, so you save money.
Okay, so I just don't understand
Sure.
all this stuff.
I understand.
I'm not really trying to run a stream.
I understand. When I started over at Somerville, our secretary was in her 80s, and we got her a new computer, and she had a connection failure. And I told her, I said, just trust me, we'll work with you. And we went through and gave her sticky notes all over the place, helping her out. Well, she finally retired after 4 years of us working together. And now we've got a 35-year-old secretary. And she's come in and said, I need more stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I totally understand.
No, this is just not my bag.
Yes.
It's my Excel and my reporting back there, I'm good. This, you know, my kids are like, Mom.
Now the other thing, I didn't ask, but the hardwire on an Apple, so on an Apple, when you hardwire in, you turn your Wi-Fi off. Now I don't know PC as well, I know it, but not like I do Apple. When I look, just kind of looking around, and I went to where the internet is, it doesn't look like the internet is turned off. It looks like it's on the wireless connection. The other text I run is trying to turn it off and then do a stream and see if it'll go through with this plug-in. Because I'm assuming this is your Wi-Fi connection up like that. And so if that gives you stronger connection, so when I come over, sometime I can do that too, and we can just see. Because worst case scenario, just turn the internet back on.
Yeah, anything that we can do, because this is a big stress on the,
Oh, I understand.
on the meeting rooms.
I understand.
I mean, it's a give or take. I come in here in the mornings, it's,
Sure.
you know,
And I don't mind
everything's.
sitting here and helping out.
I appreciate it.
Anytime I can, I will absolutely do that.
I would appreciate it.
Yes.
I just don't, I don't know it, and I don't have the desire.
Well, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. I don't have the desire to learn Excel, so I don't blame you. I believe it. I believe it.
Excel. Yeah, I love Excel. We have people from state that come in. Build a spreadsheet.
I'm gonna grab my stuff over here real quick.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
send you a list of all the files they wanted. Well, in the past, you took the paper boxes and filled 2 or 3 of those and shipped them out. Well, I put it on 5 CDs and sent it in an envelope. And they turned around and the day before inspection, they said, you never got this stuff. And I said, I have it right here, somebody signed it for it. We never got the boxes of paperwork, so I put them on CDs. And they turned around and said, oh, is that what that is? I said, they have labels. And what happened is, I'm like, come on, man. And they literally told me, Washington DC, that they didn't have anybody that knew how to profile. I was like, wow, so much for papers.
And then I heard that besides Tammy Lewis, Tammy Bradfield, it's sidewalk, their phones,
His wife was, he was an officer in the family.
No, that ain't it.
And then he got,
Here's my, no.
I'm gonna restart the recorder. I'm gonna restart the recorder. The time is 9:50.
Where do the fans go? Y'all had to talk to us.
Oh, yeah.
Call this meeting back to order. Do I have any motion?
I make a motion, we accept the advice of town council that we received during the executive session.
Have a motion by the vice mayor. Have a
Second.
by Mr. Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Any other things? Mr. Cates?
Close it.
Wait a minute.
You made a motion, who seconded it?
Mr. Fisher?
We still got the nomination of Parks and Rec and
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought we could.
I thought, okay.
Oh, yes,
it's an agenda item.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Can't leave her out.
that's not covered under the motion?
I thought it was too, but
I thought that was covered in the motion.
do you want to make it a step?
I don't know why we wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would be my recommendation that you authorize me to extend an employment offer to Tori Harris.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now then, is that everything? Mr. Cates? Boy, you are slow tonight.
Thank you, sir.